All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome back. I'm Tirza, and I have with me the lovely Susan. She is with me from where are you, North or South Carolina?
I'm in North Carolina,
North
Raleigh
Carolina.
area, middle.
Yeah, North Carolina. And she's sitting in her beautiful sunroom in her studio. And I'm still sitting a little bit in the dark in the Northwest.
Mhm.
And she's with me. She's definitely a kindred spirit of mine. We have similar passions for, getting people outside, getting people to experience the arts, and to really kind of dig deeper into themselves and to kind of figure out who they are and know their worth through the activity of the physical body and doing things that are out of your comfort zone. So I love that she's with us, and she's also a therapist. So she has many lots of words of wisdom. And so, Susan, tell us a little bit about yourself, kind of where you started and your journey to where you are now and why you do what you do.
Well, it's interesting because the for me the feminine story, feminine soul, feminine story has always been a really important part of my life, even as a child. Just connecting with nature and connecting with art. So my father was a conservationist in the early 60s, and actually around the time I was born, and which was in 1956. And so he started it and kind of was always making me aware of the birds and the trees and the leaves, and I learned a lot of that just from walking with him in the backyard or in the woods or whatever. And then my mother was an artist and did some beautiful artwork in her life, and was had actually been to school in art. So these things were really important to me. But my passion from age 18 was helping people heal, and realizing that psychology was very interesting to me too. So I majored in psychology, minored in art, and then went into master's in college. And later on, I started blending the two together in my work. And something that happened probably a few years ago, I can't even remember when, maybe 2007, I became a creativity coach, and I started doing more life coaching and career entrepreneurial coaching through the years. So it's kind of a blend, but it's always been a blend of the two things, because art heals and creativity heals. And to see that and use that, and then nature, the combination of all those things, helps a person to really connect with who they really are and feel grounded. So for me, that's been my grounding through the years, is those things, and spiritual connection with God as I understand God, but just really knowing that path kind of unfolds, but it all is interconnected.
Hmm. Yeah, that's awesome. Um, Tell me a time through your journey, through your years, that you felt like you kind of just you lost your vision, weren't quite sure, where to go, and how you kind of picked up the pieces again to move forward.
Yes. Well, there have been quite a few of those times, and I think that's pretty normal for us as women, because we wear so many hats.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we look back our years and go, when we're early on and into our vision is way ahead, and we go, this is where I want to go. But there's so many little places along the way where there's many different types of transitions. I mean, because we get married, or we have children, or we you know go into this career, and then it moves into this, and then we have to balance everything. So it's really hard for me to pick one particular thing, but I really but one of the things that stands out in my mind is a time when I really wanted to claim my artist self. And when I went to a workshop, but with a pretty well-known he was leading it, a pretty well-known watercolor artist. His name's Charles Reed, and it was with the North Carolina Watercolor Society. And that was like, whoa, that sounds like really big. And I thought, how do I go to this thing? I don't know all these people. And these artists, they're probably all like really, really smart and good and can do all these things and already know what they're doing. And so this was my first experience. But I went, it was a week long, and it was about a 30-minute drive, 45-minute drive from my home. So when I got there, I realized that the people that there were very nice, and not everybody was, these high, way up here, renowned artists. In fact, most of them were, I found out, were very much along the lines of me wanting to explore and learn more about art. And so in that process, I'm going to definitely make a long story short, but there were a lot of firsts that week. I was trying to do art on an easel that I had just bought, and I had to set it up. I also had to use, we were doing live models, so I'd never done that with watercolor on an easel with a pad, that these watercolor pads. And so there was all this new stuff, and we had to do contour drawings, which I hadn't done since I was in college, which was many, many, many years before. So it was just a lot of firsts. Plus, this man who was this renowned artist was so good, and I was feeling like, oh my gosh, he's going to look at my stuff and go, ugh. Well, the second day, I was just frozen. I could not get a likeness on the paper. I was stuck. I was going really slow, and I was so unhappy with my work, and it was really hard. And I felt embarrassed. I felt that shame, that thought inside of my head, I'm really not an artist. I'm no good at this. I can't do it. And I was brought to tears in my mind. I didn't do it in front of anybody. But this man came along, not that that would have been wrong, but that was what was happening inside. This artist came along, and he came up behind me, and he said, here, he said, let me sort of help you with this. And he came in, and he started drawing on my page. And I just, I was like, oh, thank you. But I went home. I called my sister, who's now passed away, and I just cried the whole way home and just told her, I can't do this. I can't do this. I'm not going back tomorrow. She said, yes, you are. You're going back tomorrow. You can do this. So the point was, I reached out to someone that loved me and knew me and would encourage me. So the next day I went back. That night I worked really hard on my contour drawing and my painting, and I took it back, and I was real pleased with it. I took it back, and I dropped it on the table for him to do the critique. Every morning he did a very sweet critique with everyone. I put it there, and I just silently walked back to my chair in the back of the room. And he started going through, and then he picked it up, and he goes, you really have worked through something. Who, he couldn't remember my name, but he knew it was me. He said, where are you? I said, back here. He said, you're doing well. And it just made that was the turning point. I took the leap. I took the risk. I worked hard, and I trusted that my creativity would come through. So I guess out of that, I learned, and I did. That was a turning point where I said, I am an artist. I am an artist. Oh my gosh, I'm an artist. And that I continued to work on the painting that I had and work through that. And from that moment on, I realized that you have to go through an ugly stage and an uncomfortable stage before you move into a place of accepting who you really are, but not to give up, because I was ready to give up. I felt all those feelings and those tears and those fears, but I just kept on believing, I can do this. I know I can do this. So that's what I have to say about that. It's very, very, it was a very moving experience for me, and I always come back to it in my head. I think that's what I want to encourage people, is not to give up on who they think they are.
Yeah, but because I think what we realize who we are is when we get past those points, is when we kind of start to learn more about ourselves, more than if we just stopped. And so I think part of learning who we are as ourselves is really pushing past that point, which can be the hardest thing to do. You know, when you're stuck in that shame and that like, I just want to curl up in a ball and not talk to anyone about my problems or about anything. I think moving past that point is what's really powerful. So,
well, I don't know if you hear all the noise in the background.
I do. I love it. I love it so much.
This doesn't usually happen, and I'm thinking this was meant to be. We've got the cawing crows. There's a hawk that just flew over, and there's a cackle. The cackle of the black. What are they called? Oh, I can't think of what they're. Grackles. That's what they are out there on the bird feeders. All these noisy birds. So
all fighting over the.
Hey. Yeah, listen to this, gang, because it's important.
I love that. Yeah, the birds, I don't think not all of them have migrated up north quite yet. So there's a few of them. It's getting a little noisier out. So
yeah, well, I've got the noisy ones this morning wanting to say hello.
Let's see. What do I want to ask you next? So in your creative process, or even kind of when you're doing something new or creative with your business, your practice, or, you know, your art, where do you find yourself getting stuck? And where do you find other people getting stuck? People that you help, your clients and stuff. And how, you know, why, and then how do you help people or yourself really move past that?
Well, I think just understanding the creative process helps me to understand too just the natural process of a person developing and growing in their life and transitioning. And so if we understand, there's a really good book by William Bridges, and it's called Transitions. And it's about the kind of the process of transitioning from this place of discomfort and chaos and moving into this place of what looks normal or feels normal. But in order to do that, everything that's not normal, everything that was normal has to just completely blow up and turn around. And that's a part of a transition. So as we go forward in life and we come to these transitions, that we naturally are going to kind of organically go toward the things that we love and that we're passionate about if we're really open to that. But there's going to be a transition. There's going to be a shift, just like I explained with just that little example, where there will be something that will happen that will be kind of blow everything up. So you get into this place of discomfort, and you kind of wonder what's going on. And that's usually when people will come, if you're a coach or a counselor, or if you know, do any mentoring, that's when people will reach out. So that's where we feel stuck. All of us do it. And if we understand it as part of the process, we can get through it. All these things that come out, those negative thinking patterns, and, you know, the inner critic and everything is just going to go wild, because those are our defense mechanisms that keep us to make us feel safe, right? So all these things we're going to experience, and instead of thinking, oh my goodness, this is the most horrible thing in the world, even though it might feel that way, wait, something is about to shift. Something's about to change. So when you feel stuck, instead say, well, that tells me that something's about to change. So you look at it as an opportunity and a possibility to move forward. Then it's small steps. Yeah. So Kaizen is what that is. I'm a Kaizen Muse creativity coach. But Jill Badonsky is a lovely, lovely person, and she's written a book called well, I can't remember the long name of it, but look her up. It's about the muses that come and help us move forward in our life and in our creativity. But the point being is that when we take small steps, which is what Kaizen means, then you can start to make some progress. And as you kind of put together this new vision in your life, it takes a while for it to go from this chaotic place to get to a place where there's a vision. So there's going to be, as a working with, new business owners or entrepreneurs, there's going to be this like perseverance muscle that gets built.
Yeah.
And how do I do that without burning out? And if you can learn to ease your way into that new space, then it begins to feel more normal again. But if you try to push too hard, then you're just gonna have another chaos. So I think it's I guess in my mind is this picture of, William Bridges talks about it, this picture of how this process goes, and it goes from chaos where everything's blown out of proportion into a new shape, and a new way of looking at things, very much like the creative process. If you're painting something, there's going to be sort of an ugly stage you got to push through a little bit.
Yeah.
But instead of being pushy and mean to yourself, try to look at it as, oh, I wonder what the possibility is, because then you can be curious.
Right.
When you're curious,
Instead of
yeah.
Yeah. Instead of getting stuck.
Yeah.
Right. Sorry, my husband, I told him to turn the light off at 7:30 because it's like the top light. Because I'm like, oh, it'll be bright enough. False. It's really dark.
That's okay. It's still you're on the West Coast. I'm on the East Coast.
Yeah. But I had him turn it back on. I was like, no, turn it back on. But yeah, like what you say about that ugly stage, I think is where a lot of people stop and go, no, it's ugly. I can't, I don't want to show anyone this. And, I think there's that also talked about it with a lot of people that are society or culture of like having to share everything. And so that kind of stunts people from even starting, because if it's ugly, like, why would I even go through the process of even doing it? And so, just learning to sit in that ugly space and, being okay with that, I think is really crucial to getting past that.
Yeah. And also thinking of it, this is for you, not for other people.
Yeah.
So it's really, I didn't grow up in the world where you shared everything.
Right. Yeah.
But there really was still that fear of doing it wrong that was there, or having to finish what you did.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you have to always finish what you did? You could put it aside and come back to it later. I have a stack of stuff over there that I have. There's probably some of it's 6, 8, 10 years, but I pull it back out and it may cut it up and use it in something else, or I may not use it at all, and it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But creating for creativity's sake is just to really understand the intuition that comes with that, and the wisdom you get when you start asking yourself, wonder why I'm getting so frustrated here.
Mm-hmm.
Probably similar to how you feel in life when something comes along that you have to push through.
Right. And they're acknowledging that and recognizing that instead of walking away, just kind of like, okay, I'm frustrated. Why? And, it's usually because it's a deeper reason and not because you picked the wrong color or something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's profound. And it applies to so much of our lives. If we learn to problem solve and things like creativity and learning to use that in different ways, we're able to really apply that to our own lives in so many ways. So what kind of things do you do to kind of help you get back into that space? What kind of rituals do you do, or what do you tell people to do to kind of get into that space of, okay, let's go back. I was stuck, and
Okay. Well, I was thinking about that this morning because I have worked through that a lot with my art. Like I said, went through that one experience. It's been a numerous amount of experiences since, and now I flow a little bit easier in particular types of art. If something else, if I'm doing a portrait, I don't flow quite as easily. So I have to remember when I'm intuitive, to be intuitive in that process that's a little more detailed. So that's an example, like if you're doing something really free flowing, work on that. And that's the beauty of trying those things and then letting that become something that's somewhat easier for you. And then you try something new, but remember what you went through with the other. And so that's what I do in my head. So yesterday I was writing for my an upcoming series that I'm doing. And writing is not quite the same for me as painting, but painting used to be horrible for me. So there were times when I had those experiences. But what I do that helps me to flow, many different things. One is yesterday, what I did was take a lot of pictures of the inspirational kind of books that I was using to kind of inspire me and think about what I was writing. And then I post them on Facebook. That's kind of like, okay, this is where I am today, and this is my inspiration. I actually went and took some paintings and rearranged them in my dining room where I was working because it was a little too chilly to be out in my sunroom working on my desktop. So I was using my laptop. And so that helped me because they're paintings that I really liked. The place was real cluttered. So it helped me to kind of get an area organized. And then the other was to remember, okay, I'm really starting to take a little bit too long to get ready. And I reminded myself that's exactly what I was like when I used to take watercolor classes or when I'd go to a workshop for painting. I had to have everything organized around me. And I was usually the one who took the longest to get it, all organized around me so that I would feel right for some reason. And so I noticed myself doing that with the writing. I don't do that near as much with the art because I have piles of stuff around me and I just be like that and start painting or start doing some mixed media or something. But that was happening to me as I was writing. So if you just notice and are curious about the creative process, and you can also pertain this to life. So, it runs parallel. But if you notice that when you're doing something that's new, you're going to notice that kind of, I'm not sure.
Right. Yeah.
And just be curious about it and ask yourself, well, what is it? What do I need to do that would help me with that? So developing rituals, like even dancing, turning on some music and dancing, stepping back from whatever it is you're doing and just sit with it for a few minutes and look at it. Or step aside, put it aside and pull out something else to work on or go take a walk. Or if you're finding yourself getting stuck, you're getting too anxious and tense about it, and you just need to be able to break off from it for a little bit. Go pet your cat, go walk in the woods, breathe, and try to find something that's joyful, that's fun, and then come back with fresh eyes.
Yeah. I think that's crucial. Doing something different that you also enjoy. To kind of get your mind off of it, to kind of push the reset button almost.
Self-care.
Yeah.
When do we ever take time for ourselves? If we don't, we're going to get burned out. We're not going to enjoy our work. We're going to push too hard, and it's not going to come from a place in our heart of freedom, and then we'll keep getting stuck. So that's the same way it is with life. I mean, it's anything you do creatively, you can ask yourself, how does this pertain to my life? And you can learn from it, and you can use the same tools. Yeah,
so true. Why do you think it's important, leads to our next question, why do you think it's important to use creativity and to explore it? And what benefits have you seen it have on your own life and in others that you've worked with?
Well, the thing that I think of that comes to my mind in that are the many people that I've worked with using creative, expressive arts to help them move through and heal from some pretty deep trauma. But you don't have to it's not necessarily have to be art therapy or deep stuff all the time. But you can use that in your life just to go through the different phases of your life and use it to help you release those that stress. It also opens up the right side of the brain. An example that I think of is watching someone who I work a lot and have a lot in the past with eating disorders. So having someone sit with me who might be struggling with restriction or anorexic. I remember this young woman being able to start doing something creatively, and it's like her brain switched and she came back to who she was, completely different from that restricted, I can't do anything, scared person. And so the brain opened up to the right side of the brain, and those are endorphins and dopamine hits and all that good stuff. And it just helps us to help this young woman to see something different. And she just focused on that for an hour. And when she got finished, it was like, wow, where did I go? She connected with who she was. And that was a beautiful thing. So to see that and to continue to see those things open up for people as they do art journaling or they do some kind of a thing, even if there's no serious problems at all, we all benefit. That just shows you how special it is. So, and that's how it's been for me too, is being able to go in there and do creative pieces and journaling and just anything that's just really for me, not necessarily for someone else, that helps me to get in touch with my intuition and who I am. And hopefully that's something that people will take as an inspiration. It isn't about what it looks like. It's about what's happening inside as you're expressing yourself creatively. And creatively can be gardening, right?
Right.
It doesn't have to be painting or art. It can be singing. It could be, getting outside in nature, taking a hike and noticing the things around you. Nature is very creative, so it's going to inspire you in creative ways, and it's going to open up that right side of that brain that just helps you to think in the feeling space and emotional space. So there's a lot of beauty in finding things that you can create different ways. So I really invite you to look at all different options: cooking, cleaning, decorating, working on cars. That's how my husband does his creative thing. And just try to open up to what is it that I can do that would be creative, and really think about that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. There's so many things that I think are beyond picking up a paintbrush and, cooking and baking is very creative, and, building things or, collecting plants or, taking care of those kind of things can
it's
really be
aesthetic. You were talking earlier about tactile, right?
Right.
So that's why I think it's because it uses our hands,
Yeah.
uses our eyes and our ears. Every sense in our body is activated.
Right.
And that's just really nice.
It is nice. And you kind of experience different things. And I think for my husband, it's the outdoors for him. And it's also, he loves to do house projects and build things.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's obviously different from mine. And similar in a lot of ways, but different. And so, yeah, just learning to find that thing that really kind of sparks for you.
Mm-hmm.
And, it may not be perfect the first time, and just learning to be okay with that and knowing that you found joy in whatever you did, regardless of what it looks like. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So, Susan, what would you tell someone who is kind of in this place of, just scared of starting something new, starting over in the realm of creativity or whatever it may be in their life, that they're just kind of scared to kind of move forward? What would you tell someone?
Well, two things. One, something that my business coach, Jennifer Lee, did for me was help me to see myself sort of outside of myself and describe what would you like, what is that person that's out there looking at you, that's you, who is she? Take yourself on a journey and look at that woman or man standing out there um, looking at you. Who is she? Who do you want to be? Who are you in 5, 10, 20 years, 30 years? Sort of take yourself on a journey, because you will be able to see her or him and really notice, okay, that's who I really am. Because we're going to most likely look forward and go, that's who I really want to be. That's who I am. So it's who you are now. But it's really looking to that vision, and ask that person questions. Get into dialogue with them, and write them down. Write down what you learn. The other is to go ahead and leap and let your wings grow as you leap, because they are not necessarily going to be there when you take that leap, and that's the scary part. But the wings do grow. If you're passionate about something, those wings are going to grow, and they'll grow, and they'll keep you from hurting yourself, if you listen. And so it's a matter of trusting yourself, trusting kind of that sense of who you are in the universe, that you were designed to do these things. And so trusting that's hard, but I can guarantee you, if you take a step, those wings will start to grow, and you'll figure out your way. And I guess I'm going to add one more other thing, and that's to reach out to other people. Don't try to do it alone. You need other people who are also on that journey, to encourage you and to help you step into who you really are. People who respect you, or who are doing things, inspiring you, and doing things that you would like to be a part of as well. So get your community.
Yeah, I think that's crucial. Yeah, don't do it alone. And I
Mm-hmm.
think a lot of creatives, entrepreneurs, I know I'm guilty of it, try to isolate ourselves
Mm-hmm.
for some irrational reason. Not sure why, but it's really quite silly. And learning to find that community, especially with like-minded people who really understand what you're doing and don't think you're crazy. Just to be like, oh yeah, that's really, really cool. And to have also those people that are like-minded, so you can be like, oh yeah, that's a great idea. And, be able to talk through these crazy ideas with someone else who really gets it, I think is really crucial. For me, that's my mom. We kind of go off and we'll just have, these sessions of ideas, and some of them are crazy, but it's fun. We enjoy it. And just having someone like that in your life is crucial, especially if you're someone with like me, who has just all these ideas going up and learning to kind of
Oh,
sift
yes.
through them,
Yes. Yes.
Um,
Yes.
yeah.
Well, it's really nice that you have your mom connected. I was that way with my mom. She and I were like that. And it meant a lot to me. And I still hear her voice all the time, encouraging me to keep going. And also, I don't know if you've heard of this, heard of Indie Kindred community.
No.
Indie Kindred creative community. It's a free community. There is a woman named Jen Lee, Jenlee, and it's a free community, and she is not about making money, which is nice. She's about, not that everybody in those kind of communities are, I'm not saying that, but it is a place to gather and connect, but she's really about encouraging people locally to try to find local connection. And so the nice thing about it is, if you get involved in it, all you have to do is just ask a question of where the people are in the community that you're in, and they kind of connect you up. So it's just a lovely group in that way. But to find local and online communities that seem to meet your needs, those have been really important to me. As I've had my connection with some of my friends from all over the different places through certain online communities. That's made a big difference as you're moving forward, either in a career or business, and you're creative, because you do have all these ideas. It's like,
Right.
pick which one to take, and usually it's not just one, right? So
Mm-hmm.
so having those people to go, hey, let's come back to reality here, and
Right.
yes, you really need to be about that, but you might want to put that one on hold for just a little bit. Collaboration is fun too, when you're working
Mm-hmm.
with other artists and collaborating on a project, or not just artists, maybe other creative business entrepreneurs, and you're collaborating together um, for something that would be a business venture, or some kind of project like you're doing with all these people that you're interviewing.
Right. Right. Yeah. It's been a really fun journey getting to kind of reach out and meet people that I would have never, talked to or met in any other kind of way. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's been really fun. Um, is there anything else that you would like to add? And this could be anything, if something's just kind of on your heart and you want to share.
Yeah. I feel like that one of the things that really helps us is to connect with our intuition. And that's where wisdom comes. And to do that, we need to be in tune with ourselves and taking care of ourselves and living in our passions, and making sure that we're not getting burned out. And I think
Mm-hmm.
intuition keeps us there. When we keep working in our head with the to-dos, we forget about that place, and she's not there to guide us. She is there to guide us, but we don't recognize the guidance. So knowing ourselves, the things that get us into kind of trouble, and being able to be honest and saying, okay, there I go again. What do I need to do now to be in touch with that place of wisdom? And so that would be my encouragement, is for folks to get in touch with that wisdom, that intuition, and find ways to do that. Of course, creative ways are awesome. In fact, that's one of the best ways to get in touch with creative intuition.
Yeah. And I think that's, lost my train of thought, but yeah, it's a great thing to learn to practice.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of just sitting with yourself and learning to listen to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, definitely I've been burnt out in the past where, I've been doing something and, I think it's the right thing to do. And I just ignore that little voice in my head telling me, no, this is not really it. And, but I, in the past been ignoring that voice and just kept going. And then I burnt out and had this major breakdown. And,
Wow. Yeah.
and I think that's because I wasn't listening to myself and being truthful, because there was all these other things that would trigger it if I was being truthful, shame and guilt and feeling like I should be doing this. And so I think, yeah, really listening to yourself can get you out of a lot of trouble.
Yeah. If we
think.
can just move our parts of ourselves out of the way that kind of cover all that up.
Yeah.
That's the piece that is something we need to learn how to do. That's what life's really about, I think.
Is.
So,
yeah. Well, thank you, Susan, for taking time out of your morning. And Susan's going to go over her gift real quick before we close out. And the link will be below us. And so take it away.
Okay. So I have an ebook that's called I think it's Intuitive Soul Art Journaling ebook. And that will be your gift. and it has lots of really kind of fun strategies in it. It's certainly downloadable and it's colorful, and there's about 5 or 6 art journaling strategies that help you to get in touch with your intuition. And I have that for you. And so hopefully that'll be a nice way to kind of spark your creativity. And they're simple to do, shorter types of things. So
Perfect.
I also have upcoming. Well, it's not the gift, but it's a workshop, an e-course that I'm launching. Did you want me to share that now, or?
Sure, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't sure if that was when you wanted me to do that, but I have an e-course starting that I'm so excited about called Wise Woman, An Artful Journey into the Feminine Soul. And it is going to be art instruction as well as deep kind of inner healing work that you do, kind of woven together with nature and using nature in our art. I have some eggshells here from my little chickies outside. I have 8 chickens outside. They're
I love that.
wonderful. Anyway, we're going to use eggshells in some of our art, and natural dyeing with onion skin and beets and all sorts of fun things. And then these are little seed pods from my maple tree outside that the squirrels are eating all to pieces, but I've dried them. Be using these with sprays on our art. And of course, this is an owl feather that we found in our backyard. So we'll be using feathers and anything natural, and interweaving it and how we can explore creatively our feminine soul in the journey of our life with our child soul, our wild soul, our mother soul, and our winged soul, all to make us a wise woman. So hopefully you will have an opportunity to see what that's about. It's coming out June 1. I'm doing it with Lisette Markham, who is a part of simplyart.com. And she is a doll and beautiful art. She's designing the whole course, and I'm writing the content. So we're having a good time together.
That's so great. I think I might join that. That sounds like really fun. And then can you talk about a little bit more about your retreats that you hold? I would like to hear, and I think other people would too.
So I do a retreat with a woman named Sharon Tessendori, who's with Barefoot Works Yoga in Lexington, Kentucky. And this will be our 4th year. It's called the Intuitive Soul Art and Yoga Retreat. And we do it in Flat Rock, North Carolina, in the mountains. Beautiful mountain community that has a little lake and beautiful places to walk. It's in a retreat center called the Sanctuary, and we have it catered with natural foods. And it's just an awesome. I don't even know how to describe how wonderful it is, but it's something I absolutely adore doing every year. And we have anywhere from 10 to 18 female souls come together in all different ages, and we go through the process of restorative yoga and then really restorative art kind of mixed together, and teach tons of different little techniques, but in the art part, but also open it up to just helping you go through an intuitive process with your art, and being able to really spend 3.5 days with your painting process or your art process, and then sharing with each other. So it comes from a place, I think, very similar to the way I want to do this, the e-course, where I'm doing the e-course, just really looking deep in, but also having, experiencing your, fun and joy in the process of creating your art. And I've had people kind of go in who've been really stuck, and then they come out feeling like, wow, I moved through that. And they had the support of everyone else, because it's a small group, and
Right.
we do get close and connected. We have people coming back, each year. And so and it's outdoors, where how much better can you get than that? Be able to hang out outside and then also have this big area to paint in, and the studio is open all night long. So people sometimes will go in the middle of the night. I've got to work with Posca pens, or I've got to do some bubble wrap stamping, or I've got to work through this problem. I don't know, it's really funny how we end up sometimes in there till the wee hours of the morning. And it's free to rest or to take a hike. You don't have to participate in anything. We keep a lot of open space in between our time so that people can just really do what they want.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That sounds
That's
really...
July 28th through the 27th through the 30th this year, I believe.
Okay. That sounds amazing. I've never been to North Carolina, so.
Come.
I know. One of these days I'll have to come.
Yeah. It's beautiful in the mountains. It's Pisgah Mountain area.
No idea where that is, but it sounds really beautiful.
Near Asheville.
Okay. All right. I have friends that went there to work at some camp in the summer. So.
Oh God, there's so many beautiful camps up there.
That's what I've heard.
Beautiful camps and places. And of course there is all over this country, and the world. But I mean, our country has some gorgeous places. So I would love to encourage people to get out into the parks and camps that are out here, out in your community, and your state, your country, and really see what's already there for you. It's already been provided for you in the sanctuary, and you can go and connect.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of power in that, and I hope to come to your retreat one time.
Oh, that
sounds really fun.
Yeah.
I have all these retreats, and I'm like, oh yeah, that sounds fun.
Now you've got to figure out how you're going to do that. So you need to be mobile. That's what you have go and start figuring out how can you be mobile in your work.
Right. Yes. How can I be mobile so I can travel and go to all sorts of fun things? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And learn too. Mm-hmm.
That's what it's about. I mean, you're learning and growing and developing memories that are going to keep you strong in your future.
Right. So thank you so much for taking time out of your, what is it, Monday? It's Monday.
Oh yeah. First of the week.